Set. Good evening. I'm Michelle Rehill, Chair of the Board of Library Trustees. This open meeting of the Board of Library Trustees is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, the town of Northborough has been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. All members of the Board of Library Trustees are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows the Board of Library Trustees to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. I will now do a roll call attendance. Mitch, so please say aye for present. Mitch Cohen.
Mitch Cohen, aye.
Jim Hogan.
Jim Hogan, aye.
Hamilton Soriano, not here. Nita Karanjkar, not here.
She is being admitted as we speak.
Okay.
Aye.
Second. Right. Anita, I'm doing the roll call. Nita Karanjkar, are you present?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sorry for
Josh-
the late. though.
That's all right. Jocelyn McElhenney,
Jocelyn McElhenney, present.
Charles Recchia, not present. Joan Scott has already let me know she will not be in attendance. Richard Tucker,
Richard Tucker, present.
and I, Michelle Rehill, am present. Also with us, we have Library Director Jennifer Bruno. And I do not see any other library staff members with us. And we have our host, Jim DiGiulio, who is with us. All right, now that we've gotten all the paperwork out of the way, I officially call the meeting to order at 7:06 p.m. because we do have a quorum. And then we will move right through our agenda. Can I have a motion from someone to accept the minutes of the board meeting from January 12th, 2021?
1 second.
Did
I
someone,
seconded. I seconded.
did someone officially move? I can't.
I'll move the question.
Okay, thank you. I need a second. All right. Roll call vote to approve the minutes, unless there's any discussion regarding it. I think I did it backwards. Mitch Cohen,
Mitch Cohen, aye.
Jim Hogan,
Jim Hogan, aye.
Nita Karanjkar,
Nita Karanjkar, aye.
Jocelyn McElhenney.
Jocelyn McElhenney, aye.
Joe's not here. Richard Tucker.
Richard Tucker, aye.
And Michelle Rehill also says aye. The motion carries in the affirmative and unanimously. All righty. Moving on to, the appropriations report. Any questions or comments from anybody about the appropriations report? Seeing none, everything looks pretty okay to me. Then we will just keep forging through. I know we'll have more to say at some point. The library director's report.
Hello.
Oh,
If there's no questions about anything else in my report, then I just had one thing that I wanted to specifically go over, which was the MBLC state aid requirements for fiscal year. They've already adjusted them for 21, so this would be for 22. Essentially, the bottom line is they don't want to decertify anybody because of the pandemic. So they've relaxed what their normal requirements would be. The disproportionate cuts to library budgets has been increased. There's some flexibility with the hours requirements. Neither of those things really apply to us. The one thing that would apply to Northborough specifically is the materials expenditure requirement, which, if you're not familiar with it, we should be spending 15% of our total budget on materials. Right now, because of a cut last year, we're at about 11.5%. So we're a little bit below what we need to be. We did put in a budget request to have that those line items restored. And so far, so good. But obviously, it's, the budget process is still ongoing. So it's looking very optimistic that we'll have that restored. And we won't have any need for flexibility. But what the flexibility on the MBLC for this year gives us is they're not going to penalize us if we don't get back to 15% this year. So normally, as long as you're at 90% compliance, which is 13.5% for us, you would still be certified, but you would have a 12.5% reduction in your state aid award. So this year, libraries that are at 90% compliance or a little bit lower will still be certified and will not be penalized with a lower amount, which is really good. So it looks like either way, we won't have to go through that waiver process, which is a lot of paperwork. So like I said, we're still asking for that funding to be restored. And it seems like the town is very supportive of that. I haven't had any pushback yet. Everybody understands how important it is. So that's kind of where we're at. But it is nice to know that the MBLC is aware of the specific challenges that towns are facing and trying to avoid penalizing or decertifying towns for pandemic-related budget cuts. Does anybody have any questions about that?
So it's just our town or the neighboring libraries also having the same issue?
That's a great question. Every town is a little bit different. There are some towns in central Massachusetts that I know of specifically that are facing pretty steep cuts. Some of the surrounding towns immediately around us seem to be in better shape, but everybody, it seems like, is facing either a 0% growth budget. Some of them have been cut. It's been small cuts here and there. Some of them are facing really large cuts. So this is kind of a statewide relaxing of the requirements because there's so many towns in Massachusetts that are kind of in a tight spot right now.
It won't have any impact on the next future budgets or like negative impact on it?
Nope. I think they're going to take it year by year. But eventually the requirements that have always been in place with the materials expenditure and the hours requirement will go back to those stricter limits. So this is just a temporary flexibility.
Okay, thanks. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Mitch?
Just to clarify, so the FY22 budget, you're putting in for 15% or something in that range.
Yep.
Great.
Essentially what we've done is we've put in a request to restore what was cut. So it would go back up to 15%, which is full
Excellent.
compliance.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Thank you for wading through all of that. I know that they had a lot to say and it was going to digest down to something pretty straightforward. So, thanks, Jen. All right, if nobody has any questions or comments about the director's report, then we can move on to the annual appeal letter. And Jen sent that out to us and it made it look real pretty on the letterhead. Does anybody have any comment? I don't think you talked about it in the report, Jen, about rather than doing a mass mailing to everyone in town through the printer, doing something more targeted to the people who have been giving year over year, and also putting it, did you say constant contact, putting it on the library website, things like that, in order to save money, because it's somewhat expensive to do the full town mailing. And given the financial situation, we weren't sure. I had expressed my concern that we might not hit a target if we were really aggressive. And I would hate to think that all of that money went out and we didn't really get, for the printing and mailing, and we didn't get a return on that investment. I can be overridden. That was a concern that I had expressed, and Jen, in your report, said sort of what I was feeling. That that's the way that we should consider going about it. But if somebody else would like to propose something different, I'm open.
I just have a question. And this, of course, comes from the resident curmudgeon. First of all, I have no idea what constant contact is or share online. Not a clue.
Told you, Jen. Not the guys.
Constant Contact is the software that we use to put out our e-newsletter.
Okay.
So it would go to everybody who subscribes to that newsletter.
Okay. All right.
And sharing it online, just, through our Facebook, our other social media. It could go on our website. Some things like that.
Okay. The only other thing I would say is, again, the curmudgeon speaking, but I personally, well, I'll just say I don't respond to email requests from anybody, honestly. Yeah, from Jennifer, yeah, I get back to you. But when people ask for money via the email to me, I just delete it. If I get a letter from a reputable organization, I certainly look at it carefully. The firefighters, the Northborough Police, things like that, and I respond to those. But email, no, so I'm a little leery of that, but that's just, again, the curmudgeon.
I think it's a fair point. It is
But
easier to delete an email and not look at it.
How large is our target list of people who have given in the past? Is it that expensive to mail a letter to them?
If we're going to, I think, just send it to the people who donated, we would send them the physical letter in the mail. We will send them an actual copy of it.
Oh, all right, okay.
I'm sorry. All of the people that we know have donated in the past will get an actual copy of the letter in the mail. The whole.
Do we know about how large a list that is?
I don't off the top of my head. I meant to ask Kate that and I forgot. Sorry. But I do know that it's fewer than every single household in Northborough.
What I'm curious about, and I'm sure we don't have the data to answer the question, is on a typical year, what percentage of donations come from that list versus new people that have never donated before, therefore wouldn't get that letter. And that would be, possibly for the future, might be a good way of determining how to spread that far and wide. In the short term, I like the idea of saving some money and seeing what the response is, with sort of keeping something in the back pocket. Maybe if the response isn't what we think it should be, then we can look and see, okay, what's the net cost difference to send to the people that we haven't already sent to, versus what might the return be based on gut feeling and prior data.
Is there
I could
any,
also, oh, go ahead, Jocelyn.
sorry, I was going to say, is there any benefit to going back 2 years in the donor list in case somebody donated 2 years ago, but not last year because it was such a disaster? I don't know if we could just capture a slightly larger audience.
I would be willing to bet that, because I think Kate is the one who maintains that. Is that right, Jen?
I hope so.
Yeah, I'm pretty- Kate, if you're watching, we'll be talking to you. I think so, and I would think that we have that data for all of the years since we started. But if not, we'll start to pay attention to that now.
Have
The
we
other
ever
thing that I could do is I could print a certain number of copies of the letter and we could put them in the curbside pickup. So anybody who has curbside for a certain set of time, we could include a letter there.
That's a good idea.
That's
Oh,
a great
that's-
idea.
That's a good idea.
All it costs is a piece of paper.
Exactly.
It's a brilliant idea.
Have we ever done the appeal over constant contact using our email list?
No,
Okay.
it's always been a
Just a physical letter. Okay.
Do we
blanket.
have, sorry, do we have the ability to collect funds online through the town website or some other source?
I don't know.
We did
I-
last year or 2 years ago.
I was just gonna say,
I feel like we did.
yeah, I have a feeling that there is a link on the library's website, or there was, so that you could donate directly
There-
online. There is,
There is, yep, and it's still there and it's still live.
yay!
Yeah, that might be good to include at least for the emailed letter.
Yep.
Believe it or not, I actually incurred a fine from the library a few months ago. And I did pay it online with a credit card. So, yeah, that worked.
Well, now the black helicopters are coming for you, Jim.
Right. I'm worried about that.
That's the technology he knows how to do. So, well, okay, so we know we can get Jim's money.
That might have been a CW Mars collection as opposed to where these funds would end up.
The library fine, it is a different payment system.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the library.
Similar process.
It was only $4.
Yeah, we could have
It cost
possibly.
MasterCard more to process that than the fine was.
Exactly.
You are a curmudgeon.
Yes, he is.
You gotta return the books, Jim.
I know, but I'm a slow reader.
Okay,
All right.
but 3 years, that's
I don't know.
much.
2 cents a day for, oh, well.
So
Alright.
Kate is emailing me right now. She says she has a list of donors and people can donate via our website. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Kate.
She's watching us.
They are watching. They are watching.
Before we move on from the letter, just specific, like a language thing, I assume that this will be going out probably in the next few weeks. Does it make sense to call out that we closed the library last March, or? Yeah, I assume if the letter starts hitting people in March, am I being overly nitpicky by saying last March we closed?
When it closed its doors in March of 2020.
Either,
Right,
yeah,
right.
some clarifying which March.
Yeah.
We all know when it closed.
It's so depressing
I know.
and so true.
It
Yeah,
is.
I can make that adjustment so that
Okay.
it's clear.
Okay. Thank you. Good point, Jocelyn. I mean, yeah, I think we all know that, but just to be on the safe side, that makes sense. So it sounds like we are all in agreement. We're going to do the letter. We will mail it to the people who have, mail a physical letter to the people who have donated in the past. We'll send it out online on Constant Contact through using Constant Contact, and either make a note or put something that says we can donate online on the library's website. Did I pretty much get it all?
And the letter for curbside pickup, that was a really good,
Oh yeah, on the letter.
that's a good ad.
That is a good one. I'm writing that down here. Because next month I will talk to Jen and say, so Jen, for the agenda, blah, 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 blah. What, I wrote this thing and I don't know what that meant. All right, is this a thing that we need to vote? This is something we've been doing every year. I just wanted people's input on it. Feel like if we're okay. It's not an official policy or anything, so.
I
We're
think
good
it's
to go.
fine.
Okey doke. Does anyone have anything else? Because we're getting close to the end of the agenda. Start saying like the date of the next meeting is March 9th, 2021 at 7 p.m. I read it correctly this month. Last month. And it's that point where we say, is there any other business that may come before the board at this time? I don't see or hear anything. The chair would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Thank you. All righty, roll call vote. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting at 7 something. Mitch Cohen,
Mitch Cohen, aye.
Jim Hogan,
Tim Hogan, aye.
Nita Karanjkar,
Nita Karanjkarai.
Jocelyn McHeleny,
Jocelyn McKelney, aye.
Richard Tucker,
Rich Tucker, aye.
and Michelle Rehill also says aye. The motion carries in the affirmative unanimously. The meeting is adjourned at 7:27 p.m. Thank you all for being here.